Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought, since it's Writing Wednesday, I would kind of give you guys a little bit of like a backstory behind how I started writing and kind of bring you full circle to where I am now with my work in progress. Basically, middle school on, like, that's where I learned I loved to read. Elementary school, I actually despised it. I remember having to go home and practice like reading books, and I would just cry because I didn't want to do it at all. I absolutely hated it. And then middle school, we actually had to, I think it was on Fridays, our very last class, we had to have a certain amount of time for reading. And so I ended up going to like the library at school, and picking out all of these like ghost, like horror books, and like fell in love with those. So I would read those a lot. And I also got a Kindle when I was in middle school, so I read a lot of books on there. I don't know why I liked ghost, like horror, like paranormal, like books. I cannot read them now because it absolutely terrifies me, but I loved reading those. I loved reading the I Survived series because it was like about like true events, and I thought that was really cool. Also in middle school, that was when I realized I wanted to work in film and that I thought it'd be cool to be a director. I was filming videos for school, like for our assemblies and stuff, and I absolutely thrived off of that. And I don't think at that point I knew like that, like, so anybody could just start writing and become an author. I didn't know that. And then in high school, it was kind of like at like the back of my brain where I knew I thought it'd be cool to write a book. I just didn't know how to do it. I was really good at writing essays. I was good in that aspect of English. Like, writing was where I thrived. I just absolutely loved that. I mean, I would always get feedback from teachers just because, with just like loving to write, and even in college when I had to write essays, I loved doing that. And then I remember just knowing that I wanted to write a book, just didn't know how to. And then college came around, kind of like put that at the back of my head because I was like, I had to figure out what I want to do for my career. So 2020 came around, and I was kind of like put on hold with school. We got sent home, and I basically just finished all of my schoolwork as fast as I could so I could just be done with it. And then that summer, honestly, I don't remember even how it happened. I was just like, I have all of these ideas in my notes, and I was like, honestly, like, I just kept getting all of these ideas for this one story in the back of my head. I would just write it all in my notes, and then I was just like, I'm gonna start putting these ideas in a Word doc. And it was so fun because I would like sneak off and like start working on this book, and I don't even think I actually even knew that I was even starting the process of writing a book. I was just putting it all together. And that was like really cool. I just remember feeling so giddy and excited. And at this point, like, my mom had like had surgery, so she couldn't drive. So I was driving her everywhere. And when she would go and get her hair done, I would just stay in the car and like just work on this book constantly. July 24th kind of like changed everything for me. I remember Taylor had just released Folklore album, Wearing It Right Now, and I was sitting out on our back deck listening to it, and it kind of just hit me in that moment that I could actually write the book and I could actually get it done. And I literally wrote this whole thing about it that I knew it was gonna be hard, but I just did it but I knew I could do it. And up until that point, I'd kind of had a lot of just hearing that I couldn't do things and feeling like I wasn't supported, and kind of relying on others to help me, and relying on others to believe in myself, to believe in me. And I kind of just came to that realization that I don't need anybody else to believe in me because I believe in myself. I think that was a really important part of the journey for me. And then from then on, I was like, I am going to plan this book. I'm going to write it. Like, I'm going to get this done. And so for like the rest of the summer, I planned out the whole book. I planned out chapters. I got everything ready. And then college started, so I went back to school and kind of put the book on hold because I was trying to get back into, well, actually, didn't go back to school because everything was online. So I was just kind of focusing on school. Fall 2021, my senior year, I took a writing class. And the whole point of this was basically so that I could submit my work for the book to my teacher and my classmates and kind of get feedback. Because up until that point, I hadn't written anything out. I just had my outline, everything planned out for the book. I needed some like feedback from it. So I went in, told my teacher that. So everything that I was submitting for that class was based on my book. We had 2 workshops that we had to submit and get feedback from. And honestly, that just like lit a fire underneath me because I was so excited to actually get feedback from people. I was excited to like hear that they liked it. I was excited to hear what they thought I should improve on. I was so excited to get all that feedback from them. And that was an amazing class just to actually get me to actually write a chapter, because that was the first time I'd ever written anything, like a chapter for my book was for the class. And I didn't really touch after that class because it was my last semester of college, and then I graduated and I picked the book back up fall of 2022, and I have not like put it down since. I started working on the first draft in the fall, and I would write every single night. So I would try to write a chapter a night and just kept doing that until I got to the point last year of 2024, the end of the year, I think it was like October, August, where I did all these drafts and I felt like I was ready to query. So I got all my query stuff ready, started querying, sent a whole, I don't even know how many I did. I think I did less than 20. I did not submit that many. Got rejected by all of them. And during that time, I was kind of like, because up until that point, no one had, except for like my classmates, had read my book. And something about querying just kind of took a little bit of like the magic away from writing a book. I don't know what it was. It just felt like, I don't know if it just became real. And I just kind of started questioning a lot about my book. And the original idea for the book was that I had 2 alternate timelines. And I was telling the story from a certain timeline, and I needed to be telling it from a different perspective. It was just kind of weird. And so I decided, while I was waiting for all of these kind of my queries back, that I wanted to work on a specific timeline of my book, because I felt like I didn't have enough knowledge about that, and that's where the premise of the book was coming from, and I needed to tell that story. So I wanted to take that timeline and make it into its own book, and then I was going to originally make that whole book and then come back to the original idea and kind of work it in. And so I was doing that with the first draft, and then while I was working on it, I just realized this is the story I need to tell. And the original idea for the book was I was telling someone else's story when it wasn't theirs. So I just decided to keep doing drafts on this one specific timeline of the book. I finished it. I finished my last draft. Oh, that's so crazy. July 24th. And that's the day that I had my revelation. That's interesting. So yeah, I finished it that day. And then I went on vacation for a week, came back, and I wanted to do one last read through of the whole book to kind of make sure it's all good. So that is what I'm working on now. I finished sequence 1, 2, and 3. I finished sequence 3 today. So I have to read through the rest of it this week and Then I'm going to get all of my stuff ready to query in September, because August, I was going to start querying in August, but then I forgot that August is like their like publishing is kind of like month off, and a lot of the agents that I wanted to query weren't open, so I just figured I wanted to read the book anyways, so I might as well just do another read through and just give myself like one last like chance to kind of finish anything off that I wanted to fix. So that's what I'm working on now. That's like the whole story with my work in progress now. I'm not going to share the plot or like with the name or anything yet. I'll wait to like kind of talk about that. But yeah, now we're in 2025. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will gladly answer them.